can't help being afraid.
Bienvenidos, students. Hola, ¿cómo estás? I am Professore Estimable, Professor Fred Hopkins, and this is Movie Marvels, and welcome to the hallowed Education Now halls of Schlock Cinema 101. Today, students, Igor and I are packing you all in a bus, and we are going on a field trip south of the border down to Mexico to take a look at the 1953 classic, award-winning cinematic schlock classic, Mesa of Lost Women. Now, the movie is headlined by Jackie Coogan, known to billions and trillions of baby boomers as Uncle Fester from the Addams Family. But, you know, Coogan was around long, long before that and starred in many 50s classic Albert Zugsmith movies and many other things like that, and we'll get into him a little bit later. But the movie also co-stars George Barrows, who was most famous as Roman from Robot Monster. Roman was that guy who had the deep sea helmet and the ape outfit, and you know, he said, "I must, yet I cannot yet I must." How does one calculate that? With a yardstick? I think not. Anyway, that was George Barrows. Very cool. Very popular actor around Hollywood, and he generally played apes because he owned an ape suit. It was a little moth-eaten, but it still worked. And also in the movie is Dolores Fuller, probably the queen of psychotronic Ed Wood movies and one of the most famous psychotronic type people. Or classic So Bad It's Good movie heroines, and a very nice lady. I know her, and she is a very, very nice person. And she's also the woman who gave Ed Wood her Angora little sweater top in Glen Glenda. Finally, we have in the movie Tondra Quinn. And in fact, the movie introduces Tondra Quinn, and in classic B-movie, bad movie tradition, it introduces her, and then she never does anything else again, as far as we know. So she vanishes back into the urban dumpster of Hollywood obscurity, though she probably is a very cool person, and who knows what became of her, but we don't. But if Tondra Quinn is out there, we'd love to, if she can get a hold of us, that would be cool. Anyway, it's a film, Mesa of Lost Women, full of childlike geniuses, and weird mad scientists, and insane, hostile, aggressive, constipated spider women, and babes, and all kinds of vengeful little people, and strange, bizarre stereotypes. It's a horrible movie, and I love it. The plot starts off with a group of survivors from a plane crash ambling their way through the desert of death, and they're all sunburned and bedraggled and suffering from heat exposure and all kinds of other stuff. They get rescued, and then they tell the story of their horrible encounter with Dr. Arana, portrayed by the legendary Jackie Coogan, and their horrible intertwining with him and their interaction, which is not cool. It's kind of not a satisfactory relationship to have with him. And Dr. Arana's efforts to create giant spiders and to inject these women with spider venom to turn them into a hostile, aggressive race of super spider women. And he does this all from his weird, bizarre laboratory out in Zarpa Mesa in the Mexican desert.
Strained, the monstrous assurance of this race of puny bipeds with overblown egos. The creature who calls himself man.
And also be prepared for Lyle Talbot's excruciatingly long expository narrative at the beginning of the movie.
Even the lowly insect that man
Students, if you can sit through Lyle Talbot's narrative, and it just goes on and on and on, you can sit through anything, and you will be given an A for this particular movie. At one point, you can even hear Talbot turning the pages. Lyle Talbot, of course, was a wonderful, wonderful actor. He goes way back to the 30s and all kinds of A pictures. And then, you know, kept on going throughout the 40s and 50s and ended up in a lot of Ed Wood movies, or at least one. And then later became kind of immortalized to baby boomers as Ozzie Nelson's neighbor in, you know, Ozzie and Harriet. But that's what you probably know him from. Anyway, he's been in a million things. But that narrative is a pretty tough, tough nut to crack. So hang on for that. And students, you'll notice that throughout the movie there's this totally discombobulatedly exquisite and totally fascinating music. It's kind of jarring piano chords and stirring kind of flamenco guitar. I always wanted to play flamenco guitar, but I ended up being a rock and roller.
So that Igor is a monster man. He's my sidekick. Of all the monsters in the world, he's the one that I'd pick. Igor, you monster man, you nutty movie freak. You rock and roll on bass guitar, but you very rarely speak.
I've always loved that kind of and that just goes throughout this movie, and it's probably the most interesting thing about Mesa of Lost Women. And you probably thought, gee, who is doing those jarring piano chords and stirring flamenco guitar music, or who wrote it? And it was written by a prolific TV writer and movies too, named Hoyt Curtin. Hoyt Curtin, and we'll talk more about him later, but he did write the soundtrack. And here's your first pop quiz for this episode, and that is, the music in Mesa of Lost Women was written, as we've said, by Hoyt Curtin, but it was actually taken from this movie and used in another incredibly great B movie by a famous, infamous schlock B movie director, Golden Turkey Award winner from the 1950s. And so, if you're paying attention and if you're working during this film, please tell me, for the answer for the first pop quiz, what was the name of the other film that this soundtrack was used for? A juvenile delinquent schlock movie of the mid-1950s. All right, enough of that. Students, you're all chained up. You're all ready to go. Everybody's locked in. Igor, roll the movie.
Have you ever been by a girl like this?
monstrous assurance of this race of puny bipeds with overblown egos. The creature who calls himself man. He believes he owns the earth, and every living thing on it exists only for his benefit. Yet how foolish he is. Consider, even the lowly insect that man trods underfoot outweighs humanity several times and outnumbers him by countless billions. In the continuing war for survival between man and the hexapods, only an utter fool would bet against the insect. Let a man or woman venture from the well-beaten path of civilization, let him cross the threshold of the limited intellect, and he encounters amazing, wondrous things, the unknown and terrible. If he escapes these weird adventures with his life, he will usually find he left his reason behind him. Perhaps that is what happened to these two souls, lost in the great Mexican desert. But then, ask yourself, why would anyone trod from the usually well-traveled roads of this modern age, from the luxury of an air-conditioned automobile? It's difficult for our modern world of statistics and electronics to accept miracles. But you could almost call this a miracle, a genuine miracle. Out of hundreds and thousands of square miles of heat and seared wasteland, where the vultures wait for the other vultures to die, an American oil surveyor has chosen to explore this particular terrible corner of the earth, the Muerto Desert, the desert of death. This surveyor can hardly credit his eyes. Perhaps they're only elusive images produced by roasting the optic nerves. But if they do exist, if they are living things from somewhere, one fact is certain. Miracle or not, they will not be living things for long. The Muerto Desert, true to its name, will soon convert them into dead things.
Maybe he's coming out of it then.
I doubt it, Doc. Even if they got across that desert alive, the sun's bound to have cooked their brains.
It's a miracle to me how Peppy and Frank found them.
Well, I better be getting back to work.
Beats me how they got there, or what they were doing. That's the most godforsaken spot on Earth.
Maybe they're from that missing plane we read about.
That plane was headed for Mexico City. Have to be 100 degrees off to land in the Muerto Desert.
100 degrees or not, they had to come from somewhere. Where'd you say you picked them up, Peppy?
On the road to Zarpa Mesa, Señor Médico.
Pretty girl under all that sunburn.
She was almost completely dehydrated. I don't know what kept them alive. You're all right. You're safe. You're in an oil company office.
Sure.
She's in about the same shape you are. She hasn't come out of it yet, but I think you're both going to be all right. Here, try to take this.
Who did you think you were, anyway, Superman? Nobody's ever been able to walk across that desert and come out alive. You try with a girl.
You said this was an oil company. Can you load a truck with full drums and bring all the men you can spare? If we get there in time, maybe we can...
Can what?
Burn them out before they scatter. That's the only thing that scares them, fire. But if we're too late, we're coming...
Now, just a minute, young fella. Take it easy. You've been out in the sun too long.
That sedative will quiet them down a minute.
I tell you don't know. You haven't seen them, but if you had, you'd realize it.
Seen them?
Look, you said Superman. Well, these are super monsters or bugs. As big as we are, they can kill you with one bite.
What can?
These things. If they scatter before we get there, we're...
Where do they come from?
He's got an underground lab up on Zarpa Mesa. He does something to their glands.
Who does?
Dr. Arana.
Arana? Ay, carambas.
I told you the sun had cooked their brains.
Pepe doesn't think so.
And besides, nobody's ever been able to climb Zarpa Mesa.
But you can reach it by plane.
Let's listen to his story anyway. What do we got to lose?
Well, it all started on the border a few days back. I pilot for Jan Van Croft, the big financier. Well, we had engine trouble. I made a forced landing in a field outside this little Mexican town. After we landed, I stayed with the ship to...
Quite a story he's telling, isn't it, Pepe? You've heard from your people about Zarpa Mesa and the mysterious Dr. Arana, even though your bosses haven't. So, why tell them? They would only laugh at you and say, "Poor Pepe, you're getting old." But you've heard for years about the grotesque and misshapen people, about the women, strange women who do not die. No, Grant Phillip doesn't know the whole story. You see, he came into it late. It actually began, almost a year ago. The night Dr. Leland Masterson, the world-famous specialist in research, found himself in the middle of the Muerto Desert, the desert of death. He came in answer to a rather mysterious summons from a man he admired, but knew only as a name signed to a series of brilliant scientific treatises, Arana.
Oh, we've arrived.
Your eyes must be playing tricks on you in this light. Is that what you think, Masterson? What was it you thought you saw? Apparently, they've come correctly. But to Masterson, it seems strange. A man with the genius of Arana building his laboratory on an inaccessible mountaintop in the middle of an uninhabited desert. Why Zarpa Mesa? Why Zarpa Mesa, indeed? A natural question, Doctor, and one that was soon to be answered, though in a way so fantastic and horrible as to make a man of science doubt his senses.
How do you do? My name is Masterson, Dr. Leland Masterson. I believe Dr. Arana is expecting me. systems of insects.
Dr. Masterson?
Dr. Arana?
I trust your journey was pleasant.
Well, moderately. I must confess, though, that I was a trifle uneasy when your driver headed into the Muerto Desert. But everything seems to have worked out.
The sentimental human mind being what it is, this is the only sort of a place I could find to carry on my work. But I can understand your feelings.
These papers on the anterior lobe of the pituitary and the effects of the specific hormones on other living things. Quite the most remarkable endocrine theories that I've ever read.
Well, thank you, Doctor. Coming from the world's foremost organotherapist, a fine compliment.
That's why I jumped at the chance to come here. Work with you. Examine your theories.
Oh, let us understand one thing, Doctor. These are not theories.
Not theories?
I have successfully proved every point over and over again in my laboratory.
Wait a minute. You want me to believe that you have produced these things by experimentation?
And many more.
Then my eyes weren't playing tricks.
So you can see why such work as this must be completed inside a mountaintop amidst this desolation. Oh, I'm completing a most unusual experiment in my laboratory. Doctor, would you care to observe?
Oh, certainly.
Then come along. Now.
What is the nature of this?
Well, it requires some clarification, Doctor. As you know, I have isolated the growth hormone of the anterior pituitary, the specific substance which controls the growth pattern of human beings.
Yes, it was the subject of one of your papers.
Yes, and with this accomplished, I said to myself, what would the effect be of this hormone or a complete human pituitary being transferred in the body of another creature? I began a series of experiments. Moderate success among the lesser animals, a complete failure among birds. And then, experimenting one day upon the hexapods, I came upon the Theraphysidia family.
A tarantula?
Exactly. The tarantulas began to yield amazing results. They grew as large as human beings, began developing new reasoning powers. And I found I had the telepathic power to communicate with them. And then I reversed the process, transplanted the control substance of the insect back into the human body. Observe this girl. I call her Tarantella. She has human beauty and intelligence, still possesses the capacities and instincts of the giant spider.
How do you mean?
She has the indestructibility of the insect. If her body became damaged, if she were to lose an arm or a leg, she could grow a new one. I expect Tarantella may survive for hundreds and hundreds of years.
And what about males?
Well, unfortunately, in the insect world, the male is a puny, unimportant thing. You saw a few of the examples.
The dwarfs.
I think we're beginning to get some results.
What is it?
If we are successful, I shall have a super female spider with a thinking and reasoning brain. A creature that someday may control the world, subject to my will. convinced now, Doctor? I hope you appreciate this opportunity I'm giving you to become a colleague of mine.
No. No. You can't do these things. You're tampering with the work of the Creator.
Gibberish.
You're evil. This place is like... You must be destroyed. You and all foul things that you've made.
You've made a choice, Doctor. A very poor choice. Of course, you know I cannot let you leave this place.
Some way, somehow, I'll find a way to put an end to your ghastly experiments.
Regrettable. I was hoping for a colleague, but... Well, at least we have another experimental subject.
Mr. Masterson.
Drink, please. Your very best. Scotch. It will do.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
What a dump.
Well, it isn't exactly the Star Club, I'll admit, but...
Senora, senor, the best people in the house. Fuera. Allá.
Something to drink. Anything tall and cool.
Si, senor.
We had to come down in this flea-bitten border town. And you would drag me to this dive, this unupholstered sewer.
Oh, I find this place rather amusing.
Your Great Southwest has a certain flavor, no?
No. I don't happen to be in the mood for a cook's tour of our Great Southwest. If it wasn't for that forced landing, we'd be in Mexico getting married by now.
But, my dear, you can't blame me for the motor trouble. Those things will happen to the best of planes.
Well, it didn't have to happen on my wedding day.
Now you're acting childish, and that's not you. After all, being able to adapt oneself to any situation is the mark of the true sophisticate.
I'm sorry.
And you're not angry with me?
Of course not, Jan.
J. Masterson is the name. May I?
I beg your pardon?
May I say you are beautiful, my dear? Very beautiful. And good.
It's very kind of you.
Yes, Wu, the plane is ready, huh?
Not for some time. The pilot is having considerable trouble.
Spend a small fortune for a plane. Hire the best pilot I can get. And what happens? Well, Wu, what are you waiting for? Get back to the plane.
Yes, Master.
Certainly good to see you. I've been looking for you for 2 days.
I'm sorry, but I felt like a little trip.
We missed you, sir. Dr. Harrison wishes to see you, you know.
I know, George. But I don't want to see him.
I don't get this. Who are you and what's this all about?
I'm his nurse, miss.
His nurse?
Yes, you see, Mr. Masterson is...
No, George. I wouldn't do that. See, I like this lady. like her? Very much. She's fascinating. As a dancer, of course. I don't like her.
Tell me, what's wrong?
Not now, ma'am. Don't talk.
And they threw her down, and her blood was sprinkled on the wall. And he trod her underfoot.
Give me that gun, Mr. Masterson. Please, give me that gun.
Come on, let's get out of here.
Stop, everybody. Listen. This man's an insane killer. He's local. He'll kill all of us before you can reach him.
Thank you, George. Well spoken. I only did what had to be done. George, don't take another step. This lady is my friend, and nobody shall hurt her. I will kill her first. Let's go home. Don't be afraid. I won't let them hurt you. Oh, you brought the car, George. Excellent. You'll sit with me.
But, Mr. Masterson, she's not going with us.
Not going with us? You must, my dear. You're in danger.
But we've got to get to the landing field.
Landing field? Very well, I shall take you there.
Let me talk to the sheriff.
Doreen, dear, you sit up here in front.
Miss Doreen is going to sit with me, aren't you?
Yes. Yes, of course.
There's a dead woman lying right here on the floor. That's right, Sheriff. He shot her dead. No, she's right where she fell. Nobody touched the thing. Sheriff, the body just got up and walked out of here.
Dear.
At last.
And Phillips seems to be ready for the takeoff. All set to go, Phillips?
Sorry, sir, but one of the engines still acting up. Whatever it is, I can't find the bug.
It's probably nothing serious. Can't we take off anyway?
No, sir. I can't take that chance.
You're the captain. How much longer do you think...
My dear young man, I want to fly.
You want to...
I've always wanted to fly, and now I will.
Sorry, sir, but I'm the one who decides whether we fly or not.
I command, and thou shalt obey.
Is he kidding?
He ain't kidding, mister. You'd better do as he says.
We fly now. You go first.
Listen, the police.
At last. Don't be afraid. I won't let them harm you. Get in, quick. Come along, George. Now we will all fly.
She's on course.
How long do you think it will take us, Phillips?
If everything goes all right, about an hour and a half.
It's wonderful up here. So close to heaven.
Wait a minute. Something wrong with this gyro compass. Somebody's fooled with the setting. We've been flying 100 degrees off course. Engine's acting up already.
Is it bad, Jan? Do we have to go down again?
How should I know?
Just stay calm, please. Nothing seriously wrong so far. It's getting worse, much worse. I'll have to go down. And fast.
Place to land.
You don't look too good, miss.
We keep on flying. I like it. This is my order.
Fasten your safety belts. This can't last much longer. And please remain calm.
Can't you find the landing spot, Phillips?
Not yet. But I am trying for that mesa dead ahead.
You think we'll make it?
I don't know, sir. Keep your fingers crossed. Miss Culbertson, no smoking.
Okay, Captain. But may I ask where we are?
Somewhere over Mexico at an altitude of 1,500. And with a dying engine. The other one's okay. Doesn't do us any good, not in this ship.
Birds fly without motors. And so will we.
Mister, I don't know who you are or what you are, but this bird won't fly.
When a bird is sick, he has to land. And our bird is sick. Very sick.
The sick I shall heal. The good I shall protect.
We've got a chance. I'm going down. Hold tight. Gonna be rough. Hold on, everybody. It looks too short. I'll have to break the run.
All right, students. Looks like we're going down. Assume the crash position and make sure that your seatbelts are fastened and your tray tables are in their upright and standing position. Thank you. Hey, was that an incredibly well-shot plane crash or what? I mean, you just see them up there kind of, ooh, everybody looking weird, and the weird scientist is into that kind of Elmer Fudd thing, kind of like that, and then woo, and then all the other strange people up there. And then suddenly, boom, they're already down. I mean, no crash, no nothing. They just woo, and the plane's in good shape. etc., etc. But anyway, what did you think of that dance sequence? I mean, was that something with Tondra Quinn? I mean, kind of a real cool, funky Hollywood poor man's B-movie version of sort of a Parisian jazz dance or something. Very, very sexy, very turgid, and very erotic. That's a kind of a turgid and erotic dance scene that B-movies thrive on. And what did you think of Jackie Coogan as the mad scientist in his lab, you know, with the mole and the weird hair? He had that kind of late 50s beatnik kind of thing going. I mean, that heavy hipster beatnik kind of a thing. Very, very, very cool. And students, if you were paying attention, you would have caught the fact that at the very beginning of the movie, when the camera dollies in for a close-up of the hero's face, the camera's shadow passes over his face. Totally mega cheese factory. Magnificent. And students, I hope you remember our first pop quiz where I asked you about the amazing, awesome music to this movie, jarring piano chords and strumming really esoteric flamenco music written by Hoyt Curtin. And I told you that was used for a classic schlock mid-1950s or 1950s era delinquent film directed by an extremely famous director. And I asked you to name the movie that the music was taken from, because the music from Mesa of Lost Women was inserted into this movie. The name of the movie is a 1954 film, Jailbait, and it was directed by Golden Turkey Award winner and probably the godfather of the entire So Bad It's Good movement, and a wonderful director, and from what I've heard from all the people who were in his movies, a wonderful person, Ed Wood Jr. And really there would not be any Professor Fred's movie marvels, there would not be any schlock movie movement, there would be no Golden Turkey movement had it not been for Ed Wood. So that is the 1954 Ed Wood film, Jailbait. And let's talk for a minute about Hoyt Curtin, the movie's prolific and fascinating film music composer. Curtin did wrote classic themes for animated shows on television in the 1960s, such shows as The Jetsons, The Flintstones, The Addams Family, Johnny Quest. The list goes on and on, far too numerous to mention. He was a very prolific composer. And now let's examine the career of the star of the film, the name star, the star above the title, as Frank Capra would say, the incredibly talented Jackie Coogan. And Coogan was a good actor. All baby boomers, of course, remember him as Uncle Fester. I think every generation since then, since it's been in reruns forever, remember him as the light bulb eating. Well, he didn't really eat him. He just stuck a light bulb in his mouth, and then it would go off and light up. Uncle Fester, you know, from the Addams Family. And certainly that was a major role for him, but he had done all kinds of stuff in the 30s and 40s and 50s, and even in the 20s. He came to prominence as Charlie Chaplin's sidekick in The Kid, and then he also did the title role to Oliver Twist, and those were both for Frank Lloyd, and those were both silent movies. Just a very, very, very huge blockbuster type movies, very, very big at the time. And then he went on into various character roles in you know, I don't think we saw too much of him in the 30s or 40s, but in the 50s he came back in a lot of character roles and playing beatniky types, kind of like this. He was married to Betty Grable, and then 3 showgirls after her, so he certainly scored well in the marital era, but hopefully didn't get plagued by too much alimony or anything like that, which was popular in that era. But more importantly, Jackie Coogan is responsible for a very famous legal statute or legal law that was passed, and that's going to be our pop quiz number 2. Something to do with Jackie Coogan's life created a lot of headlines when it happened, and it resulted in the passage of a very important law, which we still have today. So, for extra credit and for 30 points, please tell me, students, what was the name of the law and what was it about that Jackie Coogan in real life inspired? All right, enough of this legal eagle business. Let's find out what happens to our plane crash survivors in this exciting film, Mesa of Lost Women. 1953, Jackie Coogan. Igor, roll it!
Yes. Yes, I'm all right.
Good. Stick close. I want to talk to you.
Right. I never thought he'd make it, Phillips.
But we did, sir. Good girl, Miss Culbertson.
Oh, thank you, Captain.
I like it here.
Our voices sound strange up here. Do you hear that?
It must be the echo of our voices, my dear, thrown back at us from the forest.
2 days ago, he got away from us. I've been hunting him ever since. I caught up with him in that border dive just before I killed that dancer. I tried, but I couldn't stop him.
Why did he kill her? How did he get that gun?
Nobody knows why he kills. He just wants to, and he does. Where he got that gun? Probably bought it. He has lots of money all the time. Doesn't mean a thing to him.
Oh, can't we get that gun away from him?
I'll try, Captain. You can bet on that. But for the sake of all of us, don't try to rush or force him. Leave it to me.
All right.
May I smoke now, Captain?
Oh, no, not yet. I have to look at the gas tanks first. Now, Miss Culbertson, you may smoke.
Thank you, Captain.
Any idea where we are, Phillips?
I think so, sir. We're in Mexico, about 120 miles below the border, on top of a mesa rising 600 feet above the desert.
600 feet?
That's right. Stuck up in the air like an island in the sky.
I suppose we can't walk down from here.
Not unless you're a human fly.
Sorry, Captain. Haven't been with the circus for years.
It's wonderful. So close to heaven.
I'd better get that flare. And the flashlight. We'll need some light.
Something? I don't like it here. A bit.
Well, if I had a nightmare, this is it. Who could be out there?
I don't know, Culbertson. Oh, it could be a very natural cause. An old dead branch breaking off or a falling tree. I wouldn't worry too much. Well, here comes Wu. Now we can have a fire.
Did you hear that noise out there, Wu?
Yes, Master. You heard?
Did you see anything?
The curtain of darkness veils the sharpest eyes. We saw nothing.
Well, let's get that fire going. I'll be back in a minute. Flair, and...
A drink. Oh, I certainly can use it.
Well, that's what occurred to me when I saw the bottle. But first, let's get this into the air. Our only flare and it worked.
How do we know it was seen?
Well, we don't, sir. All we can do is hope.
Sorry, Miss Culberson. No glass.
Oh, that's all right, Wu. It's a relief to be informal once in a while.
I think I'll eat something. I feel hungry.
Shut up, you fool.
You were the fool, Jan. Remember his gun?
A hungry animal knows no fear.
No, thank you. Not brandy just before dinner.
Sorry, sir, to disillusion you, but there's no food on this ship. Not even a K ration.
Thank you, sir. That helped. I'm gonna look around.
What for? You can't see anything. Well, we need this flashlight.
I have this.
Does that give out enough light?
Sure, I use it at the sanitarium all the time.
It's past my dinner time, dear. Aren't you hungry?
But, Mr. Masterson, we have no food with us.
George will bring it. He always does.
If our flare wasn't seen by anyone, how will we get off this mesa?
To be honest, sir, I don't know. We can't do anything decisive until daylight.
You're so attentive. But even I can do some things for myself.
So I noticed. And, no offense, ma'am.
You scare easily, don't you, Captain?
See what happened. Who's right? He does need help.
I'm going with you, Grant. Anything's better than to sit here and wait.
May I suggest that we wait here until Phillips finds out what happened? You'll be safer here.
Are you concerned about my safety?
George is out there and in trouble. I'll go. Anyone who wants to come along can do so now.
I'd like a stroll before dinner.
Since you insist, we all go. You come too.
Yes, Master. After I put some more wood on the fire.
Stay close together. The best way is to hold each other's hand and form a line.
If you don't mind.
I believe it's better, Mr. Bancroft, if you hold on to Mr. Masterson's coat. And Wu, you bring up the rear.
that you, George?
End of the trail.
Can you see anything down there?
Only a black, gaping hole. Light won't reach bottom. Now, you wait here. I'll try this alone. It looks too narrow. One wrong step and we may all go over.
Is it George?
Yeah.
Shot him.
Nobody shot him. Look. Bullet wounds.
How horrible. What could have killed him?
I don't know. I hope we won't have to find out.
George is beyond help. We should all go back and tend the fire for the living.
Poor George. Well, there's not a thing we can do for him. I'll stand close to the underbrush. I'll have to get by. Can't see a thing.
That noise is not falling branches. Something's moving in there.
Help! It's got me! Something got me!
Where?
Here on my arm. My left arm.
It's a nasty scratch, all right, but nothing serious. I'll dress it as soon as we get back to the plane. I'd suggest we all stay away from these thorns.
Oh, look, the skirt's ruined. So is his heel.
You weren't hurt, Miss Culverton.
No, not a bit. Thank you.
May we go on now, Phillips?
Yes, sir. Let's go.
Where's that bottle of yours, Captain? I sure could use another drink.
I think we all could stand a little drink after this experience. How about you?
There must be something we can do to get help.
Done the only thing we can do. That's send up a flare. If help doesn't come by morning, we'll make a signal fire. But meanwhile, I'd suggest we get some sleep. We've got a long night ahead of us.
Do you expect any of us to sleep after what happened tonight?
Well, maybe not sleep, but at least you'll get some rest.
But we're all in danger. Whatever killed George may attack us.
Take it easy, sir. I'll stand guard and keep the fire going. My eyes open.
Well, we all could use a little rest. But remember now, we are putting our lives in your hands.
I realize that, sir.
Doreen, why don't you try to make yourself a little comfortable? Try to get some rest.
I'll try.
The darkest shadows of the night will melt away with the morning sun.
Mr. Masters, don't you think you better get some sleep?
Is it bedtime?
Yeah, it's bedtime. I'll wake you when morning comes.
Soon their nerves will break.
Sorry, I didn't mean to wake you.
I wasn't asleep.
You nervous?
No. I was just thinking. Phillips, why do you ignore me?
That what you were thinking about?
Yes. And I resent it.
You're not used to it, huh?
Do you really dislike me that much?
I don't dislike you, Miss Culbertson.
But you don't approve of me, is that it? You think I'm marrying him for his money?
Well, aren't you?
I'm very fond of him.
But you don't love him.
Well, I'm not exactly mad about him, if that's what you mean. But I am fond of him.
And he can give you nice things.
Well, yes. Why not? He can give me security, for one thing. And that's important. Don't you think?
Why should you care what I think?
I don't exactly. It's just that I'd like you to understand me. What is it?
I thought I heard something. No, I guess it wasn't anything. Now, what were you saying?
was saying that I'd like you to understand me.
I think I do understand you.
Oh, no, you don't. You can't.
Oh, yes, I can. I've had my hard knocks, too. I've had to work ever since I was a kid. Some of it wasn't very much fun. Well, I guess it boils down to what you want out of life.
What is for you, Grant?
Well, I want a girl who's sincere. Real. Someone who'd stick by me when the chips are down. One who wants me only for what I am, not for what I have. Big order, huh? Wait a minute. This was to be your wedding night. Remember?
Yes. Yes, of course. That was a foolish thing to do. This was no imagination. It was there, I saw it.
What did you see, dear?
Well, I couldn't sleep. Phillips and I were sitting here talking, and there was a noise. I looked up, and I saw some women and little men. They seemed unreal.
No offense intended, Miss Culbertson, but I know what strange tricks our minds can play on us.
Yes, I know, Phillips, but I'm sure I saw it.
Where's your comb, my dear?
Comb? Oh, I guess I lost it out there somewhere.
But I gave it to you. We must find it. That comb is a valuable heirloom of my family.
What do you mean by we? If you think I'm going out there once more, you're crazy.
I didn't intend you to go. Who will go and look for it?
May I have the light?
Oh, don't be a fool!
He who serves well will also serve in danger.
Who?
The wanderer in the valley of darkness shall have my guidance and protection.
Okay, Wu. If you feel that way about it, I won't stop you. But don't hesitate to use that gun. I hope you know how.
There's a day to be born and a day to die.
I want you to realize that if Wu doesn't come back, you will be responsible.
I'll never touch that comb again, even if he finds it.
I still have my heirloom.
You make me sick. Why did you ever have to leave that crazy house?
Blessed be the pure in mind, for they shall find peace. And you are a coward, sir.
What? Why are you?
You're very brave, aren't you, since Masterson no longer has a gun?
Let go of me, or do you want to lose your job?
I haven't had the opportunity to tell you yet, but I quit when Wu went out there on your orders.
You brought Masterson?
Yes, he's here.
Good. We found him at last.
What about the others?
Well, I have something in mind for the girl and the pilot. The other I shall dispose of. What's the matter, Wu?
Priceless heirloom.
Wu is dead.
Yeah.
You murdered him.
They're coming for us. They're coming.
Hank, throw more wood on that fire, quick. Just keep it moving, Doreen. Well, remember, we haven't seen him yet.
Aren't you afraid, Grant?
I'm scared stiff.
If you're frightened, what do you call him?
I can't stand it. I'm getting out of here.
Don't be a fool. The only thing keeping him back is our fire.
He'll recover consciousness in a moment or so. Be perfectly sane again. It's unfortunate he left us in such a state before. I understand that he was committed to an asylum, attempted to kill Tarantella.
Grant, look. It's the dancer from the cafe. I saw him kill her.
Amazing the durability of my creations.
Dr. Arana.
That's Spanish for spider.
We meet again, Doctor.
Again? Did I leave here? Yes. I seem to remember vaguely that...
Yes, you escaped just before, Doctor, and you led us a merry chase recovering you.
Why? Why not just kill me? Why bring me back?
Unfortunately, I still need your help. I'll give you one more chance to change your mind.
No, never. Nothing you can do will ever make me a party to this.
Tarantella.
No, you're not going to torture him anymore.
Damn it! Don't you fool! Fool? I don't think so. In just a few moments, this will explode and destroy you and me and all of your terrible creations.
Doctor, you're a man of science. You wouldn't destroy the greatest achievement of science.
Scientist, yes, but I'm a human being, too, and that's where we differ. You two have got a chance. Through that door, down the corridor in the rock. Hurry!
Who is he? What is this place?
He's a brilliant madman. Hurry, there are only seconds left.
What about you?
Don't argue, go. No, don't! Thing around you. Your creations can grow a new arm or leg, but nothing can survive fire.
I don't know how long we stumbled and staggered across that desert before he found us. Well, that's about the story. believe it or not.
Grant.
How do you feel, honey?
All right, I guess.
I've just been telling them our story. They don't buy it.
How do you think he did?
Es verdad. That's the truth.
Now, don't worry about it. You're going to be all right in a couple of days. Just a little too much sun on the bare head. Anybody thinks I'm going to load one of my trucks with oil and send it up on top of a mountain to burn a bunch of imaginary spiders.
Yes, you're right, Dan. Common sense tells you there isn't anything to his story, doesn't it? Giant spiders on a desert mesa. Fantastic. Pepe is just a superstitious native. True, no one has ever been on Zarpa Mesa, but it's just like any other bit of tableland. Not a thing different about it. Or is there?
Not a thing different about it. Or is there? Well, there's not a thing different about it unless you consider beautiful supermodels wandering around the rocks and at the end of a movie different. But hey, was that a classic or what? That film, Mesa of Lost Women, is truly in the movie marvels pantheon as one of the most fun horror schlock movies of the 1950s. And just to add a little bit of triviata, of Hollywood bad movie triviata to this movie, students, you should be aware that there was a kind of a controversy about Mesa of Lost Women throughout the 1980s, and I think it's sort of been resolved now, but there was a long-standing rumor that Ed Wood, Jr., had some influence or had some connection with Mesa of Lost Women, that he either wrote it or directed it or some other such thing, and that was an extremely popular rumor. It looks like an Ed Wood movie, it feels like an Ed Wood movie, it plays like an Ed Wood movie, but Ed Wood actually had no connection to it. That myth has been totally debunked, and Ed Wood Jr., though he had a wonderful career, had nothing to do with Mesa of Lost Women. But now, let's talk about pop quiz number 2. And in that quiz, I asked you what legal bill, what congressional act came about as a result of a real-life experience of our star, Jackie Coogan. And the answer to that question is the Jackie Coogan Bill, or the Jackie Coogan Act. And the way that happened is that Jackie Coogan, as we discussed, was in The Kid and Oliver Twist, just sold billions of tickets, big, big movies. And Jackie Coogan's money was managed by his parents, his mother and father. And about the time that Jackie Coogan's career as a child, he was a child star, pooped out, which virtually almost every child star career does, he discovered that his parents had spent all his money. And that was a real drag, and he did sue them, but he only got $126,000 or something, which was just a pittance of the millions and millions that he had won. And he was in bad shape and traumatized and not happy over it. And so Congress stepped in, and in California and in the overall country, they passed the Jackie Coogan Bill, the Jackie Coogan Act, which said that monies earned by a child star, someone under 21 at that time, 18 now, would be put into a trust, and that would be overseen, and it would not go to the parents. And that is the Jackie Coogan Bill. And let's get into a little bit more history about Mesa of Lost Women. The film was originally shot as Tarantula by Herbert Tevos, and it was completed, but it was deemed unreleasable, sadly, because the resulting film was so poor, no one would release it. But a short while later, due to a shortage of available films, the movie Tarantula was taken over by Ron Ormond, and he did add Jackie Coogan and some spider babes and some miniature people and some racial stereotypes, and he made Mesa of Lost Women in 1953. And sadly, this film does have a lot of racial and ethnic stereotyping. Unfortunately, it was kind of common for that era. Two examples would be Chris Pin Martin.
Arana. Ay, carambas.
He plays Pepe, the Mexican peasant, as Lyle Talbot refers to him in the movie. And Chris Pin Martin actually was in a lot of movies, mainly in the 1950s and 40s, where he specialized in playing kind of slow, dull-witted Mexican foils to the heroes. He was in most of a lot of the Cisco Kid movies. They were B movies in the 40s before they became a TV show. So sadly, that's kind of unfortunate. The other actor that was in this that was a racial stereotype was Samuel Wu, who plays Wu, the manservant. Samuel Wu gives a really good performance in the movie. He's got that weird look, you know, during the plane crash where he's kind of going, you know, like he could have caused it somehow. But then he also becomes sort of a good guy, you know, after they've been crashed. And he kind of goes between the two camps of Jackie Coogan with his weird spider babes and then the plane crash survivors. Kind of just walks back and forth throughout the latter part of the movie and does a lot of cool quotes about, and he does get out there and tries to find the guy's comb. Remember, he takes that, talks about a good servant being willing to venture into danger, and then he quotes Ecclesiastes, a time to die and a time to live. And we can only wish that he'd had a better part. We can't find any other movies that he was in, but that's kind of a sad era in Hollywood and discombobulatedly politically incorrect by today's standards. But Mesa of Lost Women, a classic film, a lot of fun. Jackie Coogan, Tondra Quinn, perhaps the most amazing, probably the turgid erotic dance scene to end all turgid erotic dance scenes. So, Igor, we've had a great time. Get everybody back in the bus. We're going to head up from Mexico. We're going to go back to L.A. and, you know, maybe go to Jumbo's Clown Room or something. We're going to hit something. And we're all going to have fun. So thanks a lot for attending, students. This is Schlock Cinema 101, Professor Fred's Movie Marvels. Igor, open the doors and let everyone free. Goodbye.
This program was produced by SCCtv, Seattle Community Colleges Television, the face and voice of the Seattle Community Colleges, serving 55,000 students at 4 campuses and 5 learning centers. The affordable gateway to higher education.